EduTech Guys present a conversation from our live coverage of FETC in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday, January 24th, 2018. Enjoy the program.
Ian Natzmer, and I'm from Odeum, and we're out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
And I'm here at the show to present about virtual worlds in the classroom.
Oh, cool.
Using virtual worlds, and I think it's a really exciting area that education is taking, and so I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, cool. So tell us what you're presenting. Give us kind of a summary for our listeners.
So it's basically the idea that role-playing in virtual worlds, role-playing itself has a lot of benefits.
Sure.
Like thinking critically, putting yourself in someone else's shoes for empathy, kind of decision-making, practicing something over repetitive practicing. And so when we do it in the classroom without technology, we find that, like if we're reading Macbeth, one person always has to be soldier number two, or someone that's not. So when we have technology and we use virtual worlds, then everybody can be Macbeth or can be the hero.
Right.
And
it's much easier than doing the whole class. Yeah. You can go, great. Now, everybody tonight, go home and play the part of Macbeth.
Yes.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss it. Your take on it, my take on it, his take on it. That's really awesome. You're exactly right. That's really cool.
Yeah. So if you think of like World of Warcraft, where kids they're at home playing it today. They're at home, and they're off on quest to battle goblins. But with Odeum in virtual worlds, we can instead be helping Paul Revere on a quest, or kind of what they're doing at home, but bringing it to the classroom for increased engagement.
That's really cool.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around the whole,
Sure.
Everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
So is Odeum its own virtual world? Is that the platform?
Yeah, exactly.
Or does it take existing platforms and you like inject yourself into that?
Yeah, it's a platform, and as instructional designers, we create, we piece together different worlds to create, for example, historic Boston.
Yeah.
And so if we're doing a Revolutionary War piece, then the kids are immersed into this world, and they have to take on quests like role-playing as a Tory to kind of understand what the differences between Tory and the Patriots are.
Yeah.
And so they can only be successful in this game if they know that difference.
Right.
And if they don't, this is what the amazing thing about technology is. If they don't understand that difference, then the AI of the platform will take over and give them the scaffolding. It'll send them on a side quest and say, okay, this person doesn't understand the differences. Let's put them down a path so they do get that knowledge, and then they can come back and continue the quest.
That is amazing.
That's really amazing. We had Hee Shin Bang on earlier, and she's with Classroom Inc. And they do. It's not anything like this, but their software is based so the English learners it's reading and literacy, and so they take on the role of like an editor of a paper and things. And and we were talking about the fact that cosplay and everything is such a big deal, and this generation of kids, they learn from immersing themselves.
Yeah.
And so this is beautiful because you're exactly right. They're immersing themselves in it, and that would be great now at cosplay events if people started showing up as Paul Revere and stuff. I mean, and they might for all I know. But yeah, that's wow, what an ingenious concept.
So having this as a platform, as you said, and then we can create these experiences with our tools, but we've actually opened these tools up. So if a teacher wants to make changes to that, like if they're doing teaching Spanish, and they want a lesson where you go to the market, but 10 of the vocabulary words, they have 10 vocabulary words, only 8 of them line up to their curriculum, they can go in and they can edit those words and make any changes.
Okay.
And if a teacher so wishes, they can even go in and create their own experience, their own game, just through drop-down, menu selection of kind of piecing worlds together, but then focusing on the educational aspect of it.
That's really cool.
Well, so as you're talking, I went out to Odeum, and that is ODEUM
Yes.
learning.com. And I'm just kind of looking through this, and one of the sections here is about about the interface, and it scrolled by, I lost it, but and talking about how easy it is to create that 3D virtual world that then they tie into their curriculum and standards and whatever it is they're trying to get across to the students.
Right.
This really is freaking cool, man. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very excited, and so I'm and I think this is the place to be, right? I mean, this is.
You are in the right
you are
spot.
Definitely in the right spot.
And this is right on point with what we're looking for. Educators are looking for to integrate technology in the classroom and to generate student interest. That's the big deal. In this current generation, where everything happens in 13 seconds or less, it's hard to grab their attention. Make it real world, make it understandable, and help them to understand empathy.
Yes.
And to understand, living in someone else's shoes, understanding what happened. It's very hard for them to do that with the bombardment of entertainment and edutainment. But this is great, man. So how did you get into this? What made you think of this right here?
Sure. Well, it was actually a kind of a long path. I started as an English teacher, and then I went back to school and got a master's in computer science. And my master's thesis was kind of this virtual world for language learning. And then that got the interest of the entertainment industry. So I spent 10 years in Southern California building entertainment video games. And then I went back to Michigan, to Ann Arbor, and thought, I just want to get back to what I originally wanted to do, which was educational kind of stuff. And so I'm using all my knowledge of creating exciting, fun games and putting that into marrying it with my educational knowledge.
Yeah.
And because when you there's different ways you can have gameplay, like some just kind of reward. Mm-hmm. But what works really well is when you can match the game mechanics with the learning with the learning objectives. Mm-hmm. So for example, with the Paul Revere or the Tory versus Patriots, when the student the learning objectives is to understand the difference, but the game objective is to infiltrate as a Patriot spy, infiltrate the Tory. But you can only do that when you have that understanding.
Sure.
So that's what I mean by kind of marrying the learning objectives with the game mechanics.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I think gaming can be really successful in education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it has to be a blast to come up with those concepts and to sit down and draw out that mind map.
Well, and that's kind of why I'm here too, is because I need help. I have some teachers that I work with that are helping me, but I'm looking for more help. So if any of your listeners are at all interested in this, definitely have them.
So I'm doing a little bit of researching as we've been talking, but something else kind of popped into my head. So you had mentioned before that if the teacher wanted to, then they could kind of create their own environments within your platform?
Yes.
So is there a mechanism for sharing that?
Yeah, that's kind of my grand vision, is to be this singular library, the singular platform, the singular place, and where teachers can create content and save it back into the library for other teachers, and then have a rating system, and but then also be able to kind of share. I'd like to be able to share in the revenue of that. There's a lot of kind of like teacher to teacher, I think it.
Teacher pay
teacher
and all that
teacher.
stuff.
So something similar where teachers for their help and time in creating these awesome experiences. That they would also have a little bit of side.
And just think down the road.
Great idea.
And here's a great idea. That's a great idea. And once it gets to a level, you're going to have students who are going to go, hey, we want to, coding right now in this country is getting a push that it needs.
Yeah.
So pretty soon the kids are going to go, listen, can we do this? Can we come up with these ideas? Heck, can we learn to code it? That would be
an extension of what you're doing from the teacher with the student perspective in terms of the Odeum environment, what have you. If I were a teacher and I were showing my students this, especially if I had them go through a couple of them based on my content or whatever, I for my class anyway, I would be very interested in kind of doing what Jeff was talking about. I would actually charge my students with coming up you are going to demonstrate that you have this content knowledge, that you understand what we've been talking about, because as a student or a group of students, you are going to design this 3D environment and the walkthroughs and whatever however that game mechanic works out. Basically, you're going to use Odium to design a game that demonstrates that you understand what's going on. Then, what's cool about that is the extension of that is we are then going to share that out on the Odeum platform, and if there's some kind of a revenue sharing, great. If not, that to me doesn't necessarily matter, because at that point you get to say as students, oh yeah, by the way, we designed this and we did this and now it's on Odeum, and everybody in the world can bring that up into their classroom and use it.
That's
How
really
awesome
awesome.
is that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And one of the things that makes it a little different, there's also things like Minecraft EDU. But with Odeum, the focus is on the educational content. So you don't have to spend time building a world.
Right.
You don't have to spend time, setting the chairs up, and the environments come pre-packaged, and you can put them together. So if you need historic Boston, but then you need a field next to it, and then so you can kind of piece these together. So
interlocking.
we have yes, exactly, interlocking.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like, forgive me if I oversimplify this, but my brain is still trying to wrap its head. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around. I mean, this is such an amazing, amazing tool. It's almost like 3D interactive virtual dioramas that you can connect together to tell whatever the story is, or get across the content you're trying to get across.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then, again, I did a little poking around, so I see that you guys are integrated or are integrating with Google Classroom.
Yes.
And you're going to be native Chromebook.
Yes, that's 2 areas that
that's what I'm saying, man.
that we're working on is, integrating with that. And then the other kind of exciting thing that we're looking to do is this is all 3D virtual 3D worlds. Everything's in 3D,
Right. Yeah.
Which means we're just a small step from VR, because and so we are actually ready if schools and teachers are ready. So if they have the devices, and with cardboard, getting to be so cheap, we're not far from that.
That is amazing.
Every school in Arkansas, we're from Arkansas, so every school in Arkansas has a
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift.
Really?
Yeah.
Just one, but no. Well, actually,
some have two.
Yeah,
some
it's
have
multiple inside it. But
every
school.
Wow.
So
it's coming.
It's coming fast. And like HoloLens. We're getting some interesting stuff. But wow, Chrome. That just, you've just hit the platform that most schools are now investing in. And so it's like, okay, great, we're ready to jump on this.
And that's why we saw that between the tablets and Chromebook, that seemed to be what schools were going towards. So
absolutely. Well, okay, so if people want to find out more other than odiumlearning.com, are there other ways to get in touch with you guys? On Twitter?
Yes, we are on Twitter. It's at GetOdium.
Okay, cool.
And we're on Facebook, Odeum Learning.
Okay.
And I'm really excited. If there's anybody out there that wants to collaborate or work on this, I'd be definitely excited to connect with them.
That's really cool.
I have to tell you, Ian, it has been awesome getting to know you and this amazing platform that you guys have come up with.
I don't know if Tyler gave you one of those or not. I'm going to give you one. That's our card. We do a regular weekly show every Wednesday.
Okay.
And we would love to have you guys on the show sometime. Get the whole team together.
Yeah,
and
that'd be great.
We do a show and go a little bit more in depth and talk about it, because this is really cool stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, we have teachers that are just absolutely passionate. That are working on our team.
Well, we can bring in multiple sources, from all over the world. So we should definitely look into that.
Well,
all right.
before we let you go, we want to give you a little parting gift. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
So, man, thank you so much. It was so good to meet you.
Hey, good luck out there.
We'll be talking to you later.
Thursday at 2:30.
Yes.
Yeah, Thursday at 2:30 here at FETC. If you're listening live, definitely stop by the workshop. It's a role-playing in virtual worlds, immersing students in history. And that's at booth 965, session number PS098.
You've been listening to a recorded conversation from EduTech Guys live coverage of FETC 2018. For more information about EduTech Guys, visit edutechguys.com. And thanks for listening.